On, welcome back to another podcast episode here at the Aspie World. It's so awesome. It's been a while since I've done one, but it's the first recording of the new year, 2025. Let's get it going. And to kick it off, I have a really good guest. I actually recently popped onto one of her Instagram lives just to kind of hang out because not only is she a follower of mine, I'm a follower of hers, and I like kind of just hanging out with the people I follow sometimes. So, Alicia is a social media content creator, business owner, extraordinaire, neurodivergent, all around awesome, really interesting line of work as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Alicia introduce herself and tell you guys what she's all about. Alicia, tell us a bit about who
Hey,
you are.
thanks for having me, Dan. This is
You're
awesome.
welcome.
So my name's Alicia. I'm the owner of Soul Riot LLC. I came up with that name after spending some time collecting crystals, but also realizing that there is a relationship between the crystals we choose and sort of the cosmic pattern of energy called astrology. And I realized that nobody was tracking this information, but also that paying attention to this kind of stuff was a really good way for me to feel empowered about my self growth. So I use those things as self growth tools, and the information I discovered as an avid researcher is what I share with other people now, full time.
Wow, interesting. So what do you do? What's your kind of like core business kind of offering? What are you kind of currently doing? Do you give like one-on-ones or what is it?
Yeah, so I do. So I have a multi-faceted model. For the past couple of years, I would primarily do pop-ups,
Mhm.
pop-up events, and I did almost 8 a month. So mostly traveling round trip, sometimes 300 miles plus a weekend,
Holy
and
smokes.
just yeah, different areas, so people can get to know me and just get to know what we're about face to face, because that organic in-person energy is something that's really powerful. Sometimes it translates through the screen, as you all know. Sometimes it doesn't, and the in-person experience is different. But that's what I've done, and now I've really so I'm an astrologer as well, professional astrologer. So now I'm shifting the model because I realize the most impact, as you probably know as well, is one-on-one, and there's different ways that I'm doing that. So I'm still doing pop-ups, doing about 4 a month. I'm offering one-on-one astrology readings, which are all about just identifying core strengths and helping you feel empowered to be your authentic self. And also offering crystal recommendations to go with that. And then I'm teaching my first class today. So it's going to be called Planning Your Year with Astrology.
Oh,
And different planets do different things. So we're going to talk about what you can use to have a better impact, especially in the energies that will have a bigger role on how you show up in on one-on-one relationships. So
interesting. I've got a few questions.
yeah.
Actually, I know nothing about this kind of realm of things, right? I'm a spiritual person and I do I have spiritual practices, which I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a relationship with the universe or God or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I have a friend called Sonia Ducey, who is a
Mm-hmm.
numerologist. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She is a author. She's got like numerology
Mm-hmm.
courses, but she talks about how this thing, like how numerology and astrology can like come together. But what is really interesting though, right, and I will say this, is that she is neurodivergent and also obviously I'm on the spectrum and have ADHD. So is it something that you find that people who are autistic resonate more with this kind of interest of topic?
I would, yeah. I hope I didn't interrupt.
No, that's fine. I finished talking. Sorry.
So there's a couple ways you can look at it, right? So let's look at the existing system. For we constantly live in a world where if you are this way, you're told you're not, just to try harder and concentrate. And even for you to get diagnosed, there's so many hoops that you have to go through, and expenses and stuff. But what I find is astrology affirms. It's a non-judgmental space. It affirms things that people have thought about themselves for a long time, and that's why I like doing these kinds of things, because it it makes you feel heard, especially when I'm reading for you, and empowered. But I will say there is a profound level of pattern recognition in astrology as well.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
and different. So while it is a very ancient practice, one that really can't quite tell the future, but rather better tell conditions for certain things, and it's up
Yeah.
to us. the energy, right? But the pattern recognition is remarkable. So it's enough to keep yourself occupied. But people will notice, like, I noticed that too. But also, there's room for you to say, well, here's how I experienced that energy. So you can't take away the person's experience because of that. And fortunately, the crowds I'm in, it's a very eclectic, welcoming space. So we're all willing to listen to what each other has to say and to learn from that.
Do you find that like it's like a topic of special interest that autistic individuals will like, is it your field of special interest, or is it that you can understand this sphere because of the way your brain works, right?
I think both. And I think specifically where I realized the gap was people were isolating crystals and astrology. And I literally just wrote, it just took me forever to get to this point because, sometimes we rewrite things because it's comfortable, and that's a form of ruminating and stimming, but also like making us better at what we do. So it took me forever to get to this point, is that we don't just read the astrology to, we don't read the astrology to tell the future. Rather, we go in, we figure out what's going on, and we kind of go really deep just to see where the underlying power is. And then that is, sorry, the sun is in my face. I didn't realize that.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I apologize. I'm like never talking to people on my computer at this time of day.
Sorry.
So, no, that's my fault because I didn't realize that was going to be a thing. So let me rewind. So basically, the point is that the astrology is a way of just recognizing what's happening, but it's an expression of an energy, right? But what people were not doing was being more explicit in why I'm choosing a certain crystal. And when I started to get into this, I was like, well, I kept doing it from a reactive point through the crystals as the entryway. Whereas I was like, well, if I started to track the pattern or started to notice a pattern of like this specific planet or this specific thing, I was like, oh, so this is actually a larger energy. So if I have a better concept of what's going on, I could be more conscious in the crystals I'm using. But even then, those crystals are a physical representation of not only the energy we're trying to integrate or balance within ourselves, but rather the physical reality we want to create. So it's a nice like triage or framework of, okay, here's what's going on. Here's a physical tool that can help me. And then here's the behaviors and information I could use that could help me apply this in my daily life.
Do you feel like people respond better to this than kind of say, there's so many like different types of therapies, right? That autistic individuals can use, and there's different like medications and stuff. And I think like you have to find something that works for you, but also it's how the person responds. And so there are some typical ones, right? So autistic individuals will respond really well to kind of talk therapy, counseling, that kind of psychological intervention. How do you feel the response is to this type of, I don't know what you would call it, intervention? Yeah, work. I don't know.
So in the U.S., because of how the laws are, it's very important that we say that this is for entertainment purposes. I'm not a medical. I'm not licensed to. Well, I do enjoy psychology and have a good idea of what it is and key concepts. Like, I have to say this is for entertainment purposes. I will say that neurodivergent folks respond to this well because, again, it's a non-judgmental, affirming space. And I don't say things just for people to I don't sugarcoat things. Autistic people and ADHD people value honesty. And so it's a space where that's met. But also a cool thing I wanted to add is that there are in the US, like, folks who are getting on board. So I actually just signed to be a metaphysical provider with a mental health practice called Phases Therapy. So what they've decided, so they're queer, neurodivergent, all-inclusive, all marginalized communities, they realize that that there is value in integrating mental health services and also metaphysical. So I'm part of a nice set of metaphysical providers who each do different things. So I'm now their like basically astrologer. So Reiki practitioners and all that stuff. It's a very cool concept.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Like I did somebody I know was into this kind of stuff, and they said, "Oh, let me know." Like I had to put in like the day and time I was born and the year I was born, and it told me something about me or something, right? Like I have no idea. Like I've never I don't understand any of this stuff, so like I have no idea.
Okay.
Like
Do you want to talk? Sorry, do we want to talk a little bit about astrology whenever you're done answering, asking your question? Sorry, I jumped the gun there.
No, it's fine. I wanted to ask you kind of like, I want to ask you in a minute. We'll talk about astrology now, but then afterwards, I want to talk to you a little bit about what's it like being neurodivergent and having that pressure of growing a business and dealing with people. I really want to know what that's like. But talk to me about astrology.
So, astrology. Well, cool thing is there's no one time or one way to read your chart. There are sets of rules and standards or whatever. But even so, like your intuition factors into that, which is also a neurodivergent thing. Like we're really good at sensing all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So your intuition will play into it. There's different stories. You could revisit a chart multiple times depending on different themes. There's even a chart called a solar return chart, which is all about like the lessons you'll have for the next year. But anyways, that doesn't quite answer the question of what is astrology. So astrology is essentially a really good way to get in touch with all the big changes that are happening, the cosmic weather, if you will. And certain things will impact people on a personal level more acutely. Certain things will affect society or the world more acutely. And this is actually a really important year because we have 5 major energy shifts. So, and those are each explained and depicted by different planets and the signs that they are in. And then there's, anyways, let me simplify things. And basically is the thing is the astrology wheel. This is actually a book that's a really fun one if you are just beginning, because I get for my class, people always ask me about like, what are good resources? This is called Write Your Own Horoscope, but I will, let me see, can I do it? No. All right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so here's the wheel essentially.
Hmm.
And all this is you see different stars, different names, and different signs. So this is really just a representation of the human experience. Each sign builds upon itself in terms of what it's like to be born, what it's like to learn how to relate with the world, all the way up until the legacy you want to leave behind, et cetera, et cetera. So it's super interesting in that way. And different people are born at different times. So, for instance, I'm a Gemini. So I'm all about collecting and sharing information. And the housing system, this wheel, certain planets will be placed in certain houses, and that's kind of where the concentration of your energy goes. So for me, I'm a sun in the 7th house. So that means that my soul is drawn to partnership and people with whom I can learn from and who can learn from me. So it's really important to have partnership in some way, but it's been really weird as a neurodivergent person,
Yeah.
so but then my moon sign's in Pisces and it's in the 3rd house. That means that on a fundamental emotional level, I'm very sensitive. I'm almost permeable. I can intuitively pick up on stuff in the environment, things that people are not even saying. I could sense it before they sense it a
Yeah.
lot of the time. And it's in the 3rd house, which is all about communication. So that means that when people say words, I don't just hear the words, I feel the meaning behind it. And that like a word like horoscope has a feeling for me.
Hmm.
Like all of that stuff, which also means that I'm really good at connecting with people in a deep way, because I have that ability to perceive, but also share,
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it is. And knowing that about yourself, it can make you feel empowered. Funny enough, I was just curious, there are certain planets that will represent the mind and the higher mind, and different relationships can depict. I mean, this is like all up to us and how we choose to express the energy, but I
Mm.
laughed because I have Mercury, which is my planet. It's the planet of communication and learning, and it's in a tense aspect or square aspect with Jupiter, which is all about expansion, and or also hyperactivity or excess, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And also Saturn, the planet of restriction. So I was like, well, there you go. I'm AUDHD right there. And the funny thing is, the sign it's in is in Libra, which means that while I am a person who really at the core level wants partnerships, there's a lot of learning in how to connect with people in the right way.
Hmm.
And so that's super fascinating. But with Saturn there, it's like you get better there over time. And the good news is, I came into this world being okay with being a weirdo, mostly because my South Node or our comfort zone is in Aquarius, which is all about the higher mind.
Interesting.
But anyways, yeah, so it's
I,
super cool.
so it's funny because like I There's this like I got another thing about it, right? And so people always say to me like, "Is this a real thing?" Right? If somebody does something, they're like, "Oh, I'm ditzy because that's a Leo in me or whatever." When they say that, like, I'm always like, "What are you talking about? You can still be clumsy and not have anything to do with the star sign, right? Like this can
Sure,
be a
sure.
thing, right?" Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, because like I always think like you can't just blame everything on the fact that you were born.
No, no, no.
You know what I
Definitely
mean?
can't.
Like, but that's really funny.
It is. It could provide a way, an access point, or a way of you looking at things differently. Well, I will say I do think there are certain predispositions, but there are like every sign has a higher iteration, a lower iteration. So we're in Aquarius season now, which is all about the higher mind. There's a lot of revolutionary changes that'll be happening when it comes to technology and self-individuation within the collective. But I also think that it'll be really good for people who are neurodivergent to have a better platform and to be included in society. But I will say it's like I completely lost my train of thought because that's what we do.
Sorry, me asking silly questions.
Oh yeah, no. So it's up to you, right? So like Scorpios, I'm Scorpio rising, could be just not just super sultry and mysterious, but also really revenge oriented and this and that. But really, like the whole point of Scorpio is to go into the depths of the human consciousness and to understand it and transmute those things that are difficult. And sometimes we can't just do it by like, okay, do the thing. I find that like I'm holding a piece of halite actually, not just because it's a nice stim tool, but this is all about clarity. So making sure you have the clarity to see things. And if we're talking about things that deal with the mind, this is a really good crystal that helps us lift off anything that's heavy so we can see. So like they see better. So they both tend to work well together. And different people will have different predisposition to sensing things immediately. And for some people, it's like over time, it works for them, or it doesn't because maybe there's a different skill set that they're attuned to. And we're
Mm.
not all supposed to be the same.
Here's a question then. Do you because because I know like if somebody tells you what the star sign is, then you can retrospectively look at kind of like, oh, what kind of personality traits and blah blah blah. Here's a question. Can you tell what my star sign is just by knowing me?
Well, I would need to spend more time with you, and that's the honest truth. Although I do wonder if you were a Cancer, like born in July or June or something like that, kind of sensitive, but I don't remember.
Yeah, July 15th. Yeah, that's right.
Oh shit! Okay, I don't know if I paid attention to your podcast enough or
No,
what.
I don't really talk about it. Like I never really talk about my birthday. But it's
So
funny
I
because
told guess your star sign just now.
yeah, yeah. So it's like Saint Swithin's Day in the UK. So I was born on Saint Swithin's Day, July 15th. So but
That was a
it's
Wednesday, you
uh
said?
I think so, yeah, yeah.
So it's funny because even days of the week will have. So I was born on a Tuesday, which is a Mars day. So I'm very assertive, right? You being born on a Wednesday, that belongs to Mercury, which is today. And it's all about communication and learning and the mind. So it's super interesting to see
Yeah.
that.
There's also another thing that happens. There's the 40 days and 40 nights, right? So July 15th, if it rains on July 15th, then it'll rain for 40 days and 40 nights. That's the idea of it, right? So
Interesting.
yeah, that's we call it Saint Swithin's in the UK. Like that's what they.
Okay.
I have no idea. It's some kind of bizarre thing. Anyway, regardless of that, that was really interesting. Now I want to know. I want to know what is your experience like? You're a neurodivergent business owner. You're running multiple arms, wearing multiple hats, and you have to meet with people all the time. What is that like?
So believe it or not, the meeting with people isn't the issue for me. Before this, I have degrees. So I was in so English degree, business degree, and master's degree in English linguistics and TESOL. So I'm coming into this with already being somewhat independent. Yet what was funny about being a business owner is I know it's not anybody else but me. My biggest issue was the executive dysfunction.
Dysfunction.
Right. So and being AUDHD, it's hard because it's like it really has to be my special interest or the task I'm really geared towards for the day and so on. But I'll be honest with you, the biggest realization I've had is unlearning internal ableism. So it's like, and I
Mm,
find that
mm,
when I lean into that, energetically, it's the wrong frequency to
mm.
begin with. And when things are not on the right frequency, you don't perform well, but also it's not in alignment with your truth and what you're supposed to do. So today I've actually been like, okay, I'm actually not even thinking about what has to happen in a linear way, because linear thinking only gets you so far. Intuitive thinking is where you really want to be, just knowing and doing, right? So leaning into that and developing that self-trust has been huge. I actually, did I bring it up here? I just got this from Barnes and Noble. I really like this a lot.
Is it like
Um,
a planner or something?
yeah, I have a ton of planners. Me and my friend are notebook nerds. I have notebooks for everything, and I will touch
Me,
5 of them a day.
yeah, dude, I have so many. Yeah, I love it.
I have she has a concert notebook. She just gave me a stack of like 80 Japanese pens. I'm like stoked right now. But this really helps. And
Oh, I can see it.
right. So here's your, so 3 priorities. It's just the right of variety and focus. And then this over here has been helpful. It's the proof I've needed that I have been doing the thing, but my mind is so vast and
Mm.
explores so much that within this human vessel and this physical body, the world we live in is limiting. So it's like okay, so how can I honor my vastness of self but also be able to hone in and focus on different tasks instead of seeing them as limiting, seeing as how far they can reach and what my strengths are there. And then now learning how to develop trust with bringing on people. Because I think the biggest thing as autistic folks, we can fret about losing control, or like, because
Yes.
like, so I have dyscalculia, like what if I get somebody to do my spreadsheets and I don't
And they do it
understand their
wrong.
system
Yeah.
and I get in trouble for something, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that,
Yeah, it's
you
that
know.
fear of, yeah. Dude, I do a very similar thing. I've got these like very minimal, um, like note planners. Like, so it tells you
Mm-hmm.
like the tasks, and you got like a memo board, but it tells you these are the times of the day, so you can put down what you want to do at the times. And also, it's very minimal. I have this metal pencil, so it's so cool. But it's just sitting on my desk, and they just chill out. But you're absolutely right. Like having a schedule, like having a notepad is different to having these little schedule things like the thing you got from Barnes
Mm-hmm.
Noble, right? Because it's so important to stay organized. What do you think that what's the biggest challenge being neurodivergent and a business owner? What do you think the biggest challenge is?
Well, I will say that I can't, and this is part of where I think society is going to change. I can't just throw myself out of bed and leave, or throw myself together and just run out the door and just go do the things, because then you're constantly dysregulated. You're not impactful because you're not in your right energy signature. So I think it's very important that for me, having, so I allow myself about an hour or two in the morning, get up earlier, of special interest time. And I realize that my brain needs time to warm up. So part of it is reading, part of it is writing something, and then part of it, sometimes I do poetry, and sometimes it's drawing or learning about a special topic. So I have to have that time. If I don't have that time, it's not a good day for me. So that's really
Mm.
hard. Luckily, I have enough flexibility now where I can control that. I do see like a need for me having to be a little bit more fixed, so the and regimented. So I think getting my body on the same page with my mind could be a little hard sometimes.
You know, you saying about getting up and doing the thing like the little routine first. Have you read? There's a
Mm-hmm.
book by a guy called Hal Elrod called The Miracle Morning. Have you read this?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I highly recommend. It's incredible. Hal Elrod's an amazing guy. He like died. He was in a car crash, died, came back to life. Um, amazing. A very inspirational guy. Hal Elrod. The book is called The Miracle Morning, but it's not religious. It's telling you how to create that what you just did then, perfecting what you did then. You're halfway there, but like he tells you why that works. You know, it's so good. So anyway, and also anybody listening and watching, I think definitely I'd recommend the Miracle Morning because you're right. You know, you need those things in the morning to get you ready and able to do it. What is the most rewarding thing? We'll have to wrap up soon because obviously like, we've
Sure.
run out of time. But what is the most rewarding thing about being a an entrepreneur or a business owner or a self-employed person and being autistic? Like, what's the thing that's most rewarding there for you?
Well, I mean, just affirming that I am leading by example by doing the thing. I don't need like I don't need fame or whatchamacallit, like center stage for vanity reasons. Rather, like me putting myself out there more and more, having the conversations that I'm having, and also I'm known for being really real but also welcoming. All of that is rewarding, because not only are those the things that I would get in trouble for and was alienated for when I was younger,
Mm.
because we're very truth, what they call it, justice sensitivity.
Yeah, just
That's
sensitivity.
that's us,
Well, like the police,
right?
yeah.
100%. So doing that, through doing that, I'm affirming others, affirming others, but also providing a safe space. And I know that I've been a catalyst, or my work has been a catalyst, and
Mm.
the observations I've made have been a catalyst for so much change. Like I had somebody who came to see me at 13 different pop-ups all throughout,
Wow.
were the area. And so that's pretty cool. Also getting to travel. So I'm doing a festival called Dark Force Fest. So in Parsippany, New Jersey, it's a Gothic industrial music festival. So meeting people from around where I grew up and getting to meet all these awesome musicians
Oh.
is great. So last year, the singer from Das Ich, which is a German industrial band, bought crystals for me in the conversation with that. So it's really getting to meet all kinds of different people, and being able to embody who I am. So,
No
and
way.
to help empower. Sorry.
So where are you located then, just so people know?
I'm in Northern Virginia, which is just outside Washington, D.C.
Virginia. Yeah. Yeah, I have some friends in Seattle, Washington, which is nowhere near you. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's the but
That's as close as it gets.
so you're near DC. So you're near Waldorf, right? Or Waldorf?
Like Maryland?
Yeah, Maryland, yeah. Is that close to you?
About 45 minutes away, yes.
So I know some people, yeah, I know some people who are from there. They're social media influencers, and they've got the girls, beautiful women who've got alopecia, so they have no hair, but they do this
Uh-huh.
whole empowering thing. So they're amazing, amazing women. But they're from there. That's like when I think about it, I'm like, eh. Oh, and there's a band I know of from Waldorf or from Maryland called Good Charlotte, and like they're from there as well.
Oh, yeah, we know Good Charlotte here.
Yeah, yeah, because I
um,
grew up listening to punk rock and stuff. They were
oh,
quite on the
same.
scene.
Yeah, totally. I'm sure we can nerd out about music for a
Oh,
while.
100%. So, as this comes to an end, because we're stretched for time, how do people find you online? This will be between all of my socials, and I want to link
Yeah.
all of your things down below. So, how do people find you online?
So Soul Riot LLC on Instagram. I have a Linktree, and then I also have my offerings on Calendly. You could book me one on one. If the schedule doesn't align, just shoot me a message.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that's how, and so all kinds of cool stuff. And I'm really glad that we got to talk. I mean, it's
Yeah, it's fun. I'm
yeah,
I'm fascinated. I know nothing about what you do, and it's so fascinating to listen to you talk about it. I'm like really intently trying to think like, okay, I've never known this information before. It's so funny because like
yeah.
I've
No, go
never,
ahead.
yeah, no, I've never experienced this. I'm like, I have no idea. Like, it's just opening my mind to like new things.
Well, I'll read your chart for you. Just let me know when.
Oh, we should do that. Yeah, whenever, dude. Whenever, just hit me up in the DMs. We'll do it. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I'd love to because like I said, I have no idea. Well, I don't know. Will it help? Who knows? Let's find out.
You probably have some hidden superpowers and you don't know. And we would probably want to look at your, I'll do the work. So you probably want to look at your solar return year, so you know what you're dealing with this year, but also your progressed chart. So the soul evolves. So even though I was born a Gemini, by progression, I'm a Cancer sun and a Libra.
Oh, I've heard of this. Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Well,
So
yeah, let me know whatever prep work you need from me. I'll send you whatever information, and we can hop on another call or whatever. But yeah, awesome. I'm gonna link your Instagram and Linktree down below for everybody, and anybody watching on Facebook. This will be in the comments section here on Facebook, and also the link will be in the. I'll tag her on Instagram. You'll tag directly through to the page. Anyway, look at Alicia. It's been amazing having you on, and thank you so much for your time.
thank you, Dan. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome.